What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unscripted, a show that brings you professionals from all walks of life, touching on their backstory, their mindset, and how they navigate through adversity and opposition, while providing you practical tips that might help you on your path. I'm your host, two-time Olympian, Olympic bronze medalist, author, and motivational speaker, Akeem Haynes. Now, let's get into the episode. This week on the show, I'm joined by the number 8 ranked boxer in the WBO in the super welterweight division. He comes from a boxing family and he currently has a record of 19-0, 15 coming by the way of knockout. His uncle is also a professional boxer and he's had success in his own right. He's also a gym owner. He and his family run a gym in Casa Grande, Arizona. The name of that gym is called Ramos Boxing Academy, and they are doing great works in their camp and community. This week, Jesus Mano Ramos joins me on the show. I had a great conversation with Jesus. He's a humble yet confident young man who's done so much already. He's only 21 years old, yes. He's also been boxing since he was like 5-7 years old. And when you hear his conversation, he's an old soul at heart. But in this episode, we get into what he learned from his father and mother and uncle growing up, how a conversation with his father led him to being successful in the ring, the sacrifices he made and how he stayed disciplined, how he stays encouraged on the tough times and challenging times. We also talk about who he thought his toughest fight was. I always like asking that question because as spectators of sports, right, like we often say this person, that's their best game or that was their best fight, but they may not think so. So we get into that. We also talk about what he learned sparring with Terrence Crawford, Arislandi Lara, and a few others. We talk about the legacy he hopes to create when he steps away from the sport of boxing, how he balances the business of boxing and not get sucked into that, and why it's important to him to focus on what he can control. And we also touch on how he deals with pressure and criticism and so much more. Jesus is a young man with a vision. He says often his family and the support helps him stay grounded. Don't let the calm demeanor fool you. Jesus knows how to switch in the ring and close out the show at any given moment. But outside of the ring, he's someone who's doing his part to make an impact in the world and those around him, and he tries to focus on the most important things in life. I have no doubt in mind that at some point down the road, he will be a world champion. So with that being said, enjoy this week's episode with Jesus Mano Ramos. First, want to start out by saying appreciate you taking the time, man. I know you have a lot going on, preparation, family time, and all that good stuff. So I appreciate the time. I start the same way and I finish the same way, man. So the first question that I got for you, bro, I'm big on gratitude, man. I think in the past couple of years, especially during the pandemic, it taught us a lot and it showed us a lot of what's really important, man. So give me 3 things you're grateful for today, man.
3 things I'm grateful for. My family, being able to be here. I know a lot of people didn't wake up today, so I'm grateful for that. And, I'm grateful for my health as well. I'm a healthy 21-year-old, and I'm living my dream. I'm living my dream boxing, and I'm grateful for all of that.
Jesus, man, I appreciate you, bro. One of the things that I've noticed about you, man, is something that you just said, like your family. You're big on family, and you have a big family. I want to talk about the Ramos Boxing Academy, man. How did that come into the picture, right? Because from what I understand, it's a family-run gym, but what made you want to open up a gym?
We used to train in our garage. When we first started, it was our garage, and we used to box there. My dad hung up some bags, and that was our gym. As my uncle became professional, we knew, he knew how to get a gym.
Yeah.
And he opened something up real small. It was real small. And then, we ended up getting a bigger one at a local mall here. And that was, for us, that was basically home. We were there for a good 5 years, and we were like, this is it. And recently they tried to, change the contract up, and they wanted to increase what it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't agree with that, and we decided to buy our own gym, and now we bought our own him. And I think it's a dream come true because my dad has always wanted this. We were always leasing, renting this and that, but now that we can own one, we're taking our time with it. Painting, remodeling, different stuff like that.
That's powerful, bro, because that not only impacts you but also the community around you, man. I'm a firm believer that hope needs two things. It needs to be seen and it needs to be shown. And I feel like with that gym and what you guys have been able to do, your family, man, it's people get to see that. Well, we got to go back a little to the beginning, bro. I believe, people see you in the ring, they see you doing your thing, but there's always more to the story, as you just kind of talked about. Casa Grande, Arizona, man. I used to train in Phoenix. I used to train out of there, so I understand the Phoenix Sun right now that's happening down there. Uh,
Yeah.
but, but you come from Mexican descent, man. What was it like growing up in the Ramos household in the earliest time that you can remember, man? What was the dynamics like growing up with you and your family?
You know, for me, I think I don't know. I think I had a real good childhood. They just let me be me. I
Mm.
remember I was playing outside. I had my own trampoline. Just I like to play a lot, and my parents, they always let me do that, and that's what I'm grateful for. They would buy me video games, but I don't know. I was always like outside. I had my motorcycles, little motorcycles I would run, and like I said, my uncles, they would train in my garage, so I would train with them. Some days I wouldn't train, and like I said, I would ride around my bike, my motorcycles, little things like that, and you know, it, I don't know. We were always so close because of boxing. I feel like, my father had his own home, and my uncles, they live with my grandparents, but we would always see each other because of the same reason, because of boxing. They had to come train. Either they had to pick them up or drop them off. So we were always together. We would always get together. We've always been very close, and we always think that family over everything. My family is over everything, and yeah, man, that was kind of my way growing up. But boxing has always been there. It's always been part of my life, and but I think that's why I love it so much.
Man, from what I understand, you've been involved in boxing since you were what, 5, 6, 7 years old, right? Uh, but it's not one of those sports where you can go half in and half out. You really got to make that full commitment to it. I used to always hear stories where, people used to say when I picked up the basketball or I put on the track spikes, like I knew this was going to be something for me. But when you got started into boxing, obviously being around it, did you have that same feeling, or was it something that you were like, I don't know about this just yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think since I was introduced so young, I think that was mainly the reason why I had to take a break because yeah, I started too young. I started too young. I was always like I feel like I've always been mature for my age, and
Mm.
so I started young. I was like I said, I had my uncles there with me, and they were amateurs. They were competing every Saturday, and I wanted to compete, and I would go watch them. But I had to be 8 years old, so I couldn't compete. And I was training, I was running with them, and come Saturday, I wouldn't fight, and they would. So I kind of got tired of that, and I kind of started, like I said, just kind of just enjoy my childhood, just going playing with my friends, riding around our bikes, little things like that. And but once I turned 8. I was 8. Well, I was 8, and I was like, what, I'm gonna go back to it. But I
Mm.
was like half in, half out, just barely training. And I turned 9, and I wanted to fight. And I turned my dad, and he said, "You gotta go a whole year without missing a day." And I said, "Okay." And I did, bro. I did. I went to the gym a whole year, and every day, and I worked hard, and he let me compete. And I was 10. I started competing, and I haven't stopped since.
Man, when you're in the gym, right, especially those early times when you're seeing your uncle there and you're seeing your dad there, and you're seeing what is happening in the work that it takes and everything that just exactly what you just said. I need to see you a year commitment first. What
Yeah.
what did those moments teach you about boxing, and what did it teach you about yourself?
Oh, it taught me a lot because, like I said before that, I was just kind of training, kind of not, take my days off. I would go some days I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
But like when I started a whole year, my uncle was actually living with us, and he would wake up in the morning, and I would have to go run with him as well. So we were running in the morning. So it taught me, the true definition of what being a boxer was. And I feel like at the time I didn't get it, but now I get it. That it's like that with everything with life. You're gonna do something, you gotta go all in, and that's something I've always now implemented in my lifestyle.
How do you? What are the challenges that you have with your dad being, your trainer in your corner versus your dad just being your dad? Because that can cause a lot of friction at times, man. How do you balance that?
I feel like it does, but it can, and I understand why it can.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact me and my dad because I don't feel like my dad. I don't know. My dad has always kind of been like my friend. He never, like, yes, he's my dad, and obviously I don't see him as my friend, but our relationship I feel like is different. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but I look up to my dad a lot, and I feel like my dad is the smartest guy out there, and so every time he gives me advice, I take it, and even with coaching, I feel like we connect when I'm in the ring and he's giving me instructions. I feel like we're connected because he's always telling me what I feel is right, and some things that I'm missing, and he tells me them, and everything just connects.
Obviously, you and your dad have that great relationship in the boxing aspect of it, but with your family as well too. I'm sure it was a grind for them, to get to where they are today and to be consistent with it. But we don't always get to see that as kids because we're, kids and we're kind of in it. But sometimes we do, but we may not be able to understand, man. What are some of the lessons that your dad or your mom or your family or the community or in the environment around you have said directly or indirectly that you get to a point where you're just like, man, I remember when my dad or my mom said this. I didn't know I needed that till now. What were some of those early lessons, do you think?
I mean, there's been a lot. My I don't know, my dad. Well, yeah, my dad. And he would tell me and my uncle this, and he would tell us that just dedicate 5 years to boxing and see how, and you're gonna see how everything changes.
Mm.
But really, really dedicate your life to this. Those 5 years. No going out, no drinking, no friend, no girlfriend, no this and that. Just 5 years, and after that, you can have whatever you want.
Wow.
And at the time, we are like, you know what, 5 years. You think about
Long.
it, it's a long time, but it's not. It's not. When he told us this, I was around. I was like 15, and I had just gone to high school. I was driving, and I was making friends. And he told us this, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna listen to him. I'm young. I'm listen to him. And yeah, man, I missed a lot of events at school. Homecoming dances, all of that stuff. Football games. And all my friends were there. Hanging out at the movies, whatever it was. I was staying at the gym. I was boxing, training, and sure thing, man. I turned 17. I was professional. At 18, I was signed with PBC. And at 20, I was ranked already by the WBA. So those are the 5 years, and I was like, he's right, and that, like I said, those are little things that I pay attention to, and like I said at the time, I didn't know, but now I'm like, okay, my dad had a point, and he was right.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think that that is one of the beautiful thing about having both parents or someone who can mentor you and show you something different, even if you don't understand it, man. Because I had to make those same sacrifices too. So I missed a lot, like how you missed a lot. But man, the first fight I saw of you was when you fought Ricky Edwards. You won that fight by KO in the third round. But I said to myself, I'm like, man, this young man handles himself well inside the ring, and a lot of sports is really about composure and not letting the moment get too much into your head or the pressure surmounting so much. And for me, competing at the Olympic Games, what helped me during those times was just I'm always pretty even keel, like in life, period. So I try not to get too high, I try not to get too low, but to be graceful inside the middle. but not everybody has that, Jesus. How do you handle pressure? How do you stay composed in the ring when your plan may not be going as you expected? How do you handle those moments?
You know what? I think having from my family in the corner, my father. Yeah, sometimes things don't go your way, but I come back and my dad is there, and he's kind of like, "It's okay, you're good. This plan isn't working, but watch, let's try this." And he helps me a lot, and kind of and other than that, I think it's just the fact that I've been in there with world champions. There's a lot of coaches that they're like, no, you know what, my son can't spar him, he's too big, or I don't want to spar him yet. Little things like that. My dad's never been like that. When Terrence Crawford was around, he had me sparring Terrence Crawford, Maurice Hooker, all these big names, and people even heavier than me. And that has given me so much confidence because I've been in there with them. Sometimes I was a younger guy, way younger, and they had that man strength already. So
Mm-hmm.
it was different. But I think all that just gives me that confidence and that experience to just be so calm and collective.
Man, you just mentioned you were in there with Buck Crawford. I know Arislandi Lara was another person that you sparred with, man. What were those sparring sessions like? Because I think I think one of the big misconceptions is people think that sparring is just fighting, right? There's probably certain things that you're working on. But at times too, right? That ego kicks in. You're like, wait, man, you punching a little bit too hard right now. Let me give you a little bit. But what did those sparring sessions teach you? Because again, those are world champions, and you coming up, you're like, man, if I can handle it here, then I know I have the same possibility to get a title as well too. What were those sparring sessions like?
Yeah, man, those were great sparring sessions. To be honest, man, I learned a lot. I sparred Crawford. I was 18. I was 18. No, I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 now when I sparred Crawford. So I was really young, man. And I was kind of like on the rise. I had fought Ricky Edwards, so I was kind of like, I hadn't had too much big fights. I wasn't big fights. I was coming up, so me and myself, I was like, am I really as good as they're saying, or
Mm.
my opponent, my level of opposition hasn't been there. And once I stepped in there with Crawford, it was like, okay, no, I got it. Everything that I've been doing is paying off right now. And yeah, man, that was big. That was big for me. And Lara, going into Lara's sparring session, I had already been there with guys like Crawford. I was a little more experienced, so I was able to apply that, and when the things he taught me. So I got more of the Lara sparring session because of that. I had more confidence, and I was able to learn more and digest everything he was giving me.
Man, you just said something that not a lot of fighters, but athletes in general say, and that's that honest truth to saying, man, I don't know if I'm on this level yet. I don't know if my opposition wasn't anything like that. But the honest truth that you just said, man, I think that's part of the reason why you've been so successful as well too, is because one, you're not going to shy away from any person, right? A fight's a fight. When the time is time, you're going to do it. But I think a lot of times we let our optimism blind us from the truth, and we see that doesn't always help people. Um, as spectators of the sport, right? The fans and supporters, we always say, "Oh man, this was this person's toughest fight," but in reality, that may not be their toughest fight. What do you think your toughest fight was, and why was it so tough?
You know what? I'm gonna say my last fight. It was tough. I think that was my toughest one, and I feel like part of it had to do with the fact that he had a decision over my uncle. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like all that play a role in the fight, and I felt like maybe I was looking too much for the knockout, and because I wanted that, I wanted to get it back for him, and I made a couple mistakes in there. And during that fight, man, I think I was stuck in the middle because I had the Javier Molina fight where I looked like I was just a pressure fighter. I just wanted to pressure, and get him out of there. Man, I was young,
Yeah.
I was 20, and I was just pressuring. I mean, I'm only 21, but I feel like I grew a lot from that. And since then, I've grown a lot. and I wanted to show that in this fight. I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to imply that same style with another mover, another guy that likes to move and use the ring. I didn't want to be like, I didn't want people to say, well, he's stuck in the same level as when he fought Javier Molina, because it wasn't the case. So I was kind of stuck in between that. Should I pressure or should I stay relaxed, keep using my jab, keep working from the outside? And I mean, I knew I was gonna win like that. Just keep working from the outside, but it wasn't gonna give me the knockout.
Mm-hmm.
So from time to time, I would pressure and kind of make a couple mistakes. Then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna lay back and just use my jab and catch him from distance, and that was working. Like I said, it wasn't gonna give me the knockout. So now it was complicated. It was a complicated fight, man. There was a lot of things I went through when I went through that fight, and yeah, I learned a lot, man. I grew a lot from that last fight.
Man, one of the things in any sport and anywhere in life, because there's always some gray areas to it, right? And a lot of things is never as easy as we may think. When it comes to the business of boxing, man, you seem like a very patient person, right? Like you know where you are and you know where you can be, and there's that stage where you got to go through certain things in order to get there. But how do you not let the business of boxing get into your head where you start to become impatient? How do you go about that?
Um, you know, and this is another thing my dad told me. Me as a boxer, I might not be able to control, when I fight, who I fight, or on what card I fight, or how many rounds I'm gonna fight. I might not be able to control that to an extent. I might not be able to control all of that. But what I can control is how many rounds I put in the gym, how many rounds I spar, how many miles I run, how many days I train. So that's that's what I control. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I don't have a fight lined up, but I can't control that. I'm not in control of that just yet, but I am in control of me staying ready and me boxing and me sitting down and watching boxing, studying tapes, studying my last fight, little things like that. So that's what I'm doing right now, and you can never stop improving. So I'm making sure I'm making my improvements, so that when that next fight comes around, I'm not the same fighter.
Mm. One of the things people talk about, man, often is legacy, right? In any profession, anything. And I've always felt that our legacy was starting to be written at the moment that we're born. And every time you gain certain levels, you attach certain notches to that climb of your own personal ladder. When you step away from the sport, Jesus, I'm talking about after you become multiple weight division champion, because again, you're still very young, mature in the ring, but age wise, still young. And you're going to grow. And I wouldn't be surprised if you end up in the cruiserweight division at some point as well, too. But when you're done, right? Because you get to a certain age and a certain time in your life where you start to reflect on, like, man, what am I really representing in here? What am I really doing here? Right? When you step away from the sport of boxing, what do you hope people take from you?
You know what? I want people to just know that you know, I don't know. That's a good question, because everybody always asks for my goal. My goal is always, when they talk about boxing, I want my name to pop up, kind of like the Mayweather and the Pacquiao, the Chavez, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
But what they think of me is a guy that worked hard for that. I never cut any corners. He never cut any corners. Never, you know. I feel like there's a lot of prospects that have a lot of hype. I don't feel like I've had that type of hype. I feel like I've earned everything. I've like that pay-per-views and that I fought in. I've earned that. And I've never taken the easy route. I fought Vladimir Hernandez. He was just coming off a win over Julian Williams. My last fight, Santa Maria, he beat my uncle, and he had to beat real good guys as well, and he was real good. And I feel like he would give any fighter any problems. And we're taking those fights because we're not gonna shy away from anything, and we're gonna keep growing and keep living this dream out. So I kind of want to remember as that the guy that worked hard, never cut any corners, and never backed down from any fight.
every part of the story isn't always a good part, man. I'm a firm believer that every season has an expiration date, and sometimes things are going well, great, but at some point it will turn, and you'll face a lot of different challenges. Uh, in my experience in the elite professional sport in track and field, it's very you have a team around you, but it's very singular, kind of like boxing, right? They can't fight. They can't fight the fight for you. You have to fight the fight. And I remember I had just competed, and it was like Johan Blake, like a lot of the top sprinters in the world was there.
Yeah.
And it was a race where I ran the fastest time I ever ran, but I got sixth. And Jesus, I remember flying back, man, and I was just like, what in the world just happened? That was the fastest time I ever ran, 10:06, and I got sixth. And I was like, man, is this really worth it? Is this really going to pay off? And you start to think in your mind, like, man, I don't know what's going on here. Did you have any of those moments? Maybe you're in the gym and you're just like, man, this is a lot of work. I didn't anticipate it to be like this, where you found yourself in a moment where you were like, man, is this going to be worth it?
Yeah, of course, there's been moments like that, and the first one I think that really hit me was when we joined that Terrence Crawford training camp. Uh, we had just gone through COVID and all of that, so we hadn't been training and we hadn't been fighting, nothing like that. And my uncle got a fight with Jordani Sugas, and I was on his undercard. And we needed training camp. We needed a big training camp, so we went to Terrence Crawford. We were training with the strength and conditioning coach, his nutritionist, all that. And that's when it hit me, because we went over there and we started working with the nutritionist. The diet was different.
Mm.
That itself was different. Me and my uncle were having, they would call it withdrawals, where we're like, well, what's a withdrawal? And like, yeah, so we're not giving you as much sugar as you maybe usually eat. We're not giving you as much of this and that. So your body's starting to react to it. Okay. We were training seven days out of the week.
Wow.
That was different to me too. That was like, damn, I never trained so. And it was just us. It was just us over there. We didn't have our family. So that was another thing. So I really had to mature a lot during that training camp. I really had to grow as a person, as a fighter, and I really had to bite down, man, and ask myself, do I really want this? Is this what I really want to do? And it almost seemed like I fell in love with the sport even more.
Mm.
Like I fell in love with it even more, and um, ever since then, I've implemented that to my training camp. 7 days out of the week we're training. Doesn't matter if Sunday is a light jog, we'll go do that. Because if I don't train Sundays, come fight night, I'm gonna tell myself, you didn't train Sundays, man. You're not prepared to the best of your ability. So yeah, we're training Sundays now, and the same thing happened in my last fight. I worked so hard, like I said. I
Yeah.
knew I was ready, and I felt like I had a bad performance. And the whole time, during the whole fight, I'm just talking to myself like, well, what went wrong? Where did it all happen? And me being a young prospect and people watching me, I knew I was gonna get a lot of criticism, because of that. They're gonna think everything was just hype or whatever. And I was beating myself. I was beating myself up, man. I was down for a long time. Not a long time, a couple of days, man. But it was a victory, and I took it
Yeah.
as I was down, man, and I just had to tell myself, I'm the one that competed. I'm the one that put in the work. Fight night wasn't how I expected, but that wasn't because I cut any corners. That wasn't because I didn't do things the right way. I had a tough opponent. Some feelings were in the mix, and that's something I learned. That's something I had to sit down and analyze because I was like, what happened? It's something I caught. I was like, you know what? I was trying to knock him out. For my uncle, for my family, and yeah, it was. Yeah, I learned. But yeah, well, I've had those moments, and they're tough, and especially I feel like it's tough for a young fighter because, like I said, a lot of people are quick to criticize. Oh well, he's just a hype, or they don't make them like before, little things like that. And all we're doing is just following a dream. It's just we like boxing, and we're doing what most people can't do, or wouldn't do. We're taking risks. We're sacrificing all this time for for one night that might go your way or might not.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I just gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep training. We gotta keep fighting.
Man, it was one of those things, man, before I stepped away from the sport, bro. Like there was a year where I feel like I was getting criticized by every single angle. It's like, oh, Akeem, you should be training with this coach. You should be doing these workouts. And it got to a point to me where I was just like, wait a minute. You guys are not courageous enough to do what I'm doing. Not that they can't, right? I believe a lot of people can do a lot of things, but it takes a certain level of courage and belief to step out there in the unknown, knowing you don't know how it's going to play out. You don't know what's going to unfold. And you just talked about the dream, right? It's better to pursue the dream than to live in regret, regardless of what the criticism may be, because you're going to get that. You're in a very opinionated sport, so that's part of it too, but also the fact that where you went wrong, in the fact of you got emotional in the fight and you were like, you know what, that wasn't me. I was really trying to gun for it. But again, that's the learning lesson. So, when you do get that championship fight, the moment you're like, I already dealt with this before. But who are some of the fighters that you like today, man? When you're not fighting and you're like, man, I'm just gonna go to fight with the family and just enjoy being a fan or a spectator. Who are some of the fighters that you like?
You know what, man? I got a lot of them. I'm honestly, I love boxing. I'm a boxing fan. If I wasn't boxing, I'd be watching it. Every weekend, regardless. I love it. I love it a lot. I like to watch fights and sit down and watch what the fighters are doing. I think I learned a lot from just watching as well. So, at the low weight classes, I like Bam Rodriguez, Jesse
Yeah.
Rodriguez. I like his style a lot, man. I like Inoue. He's a beast, man. Inoue, the monster. I like Navarrete. I like
Mhm.
how though I mean I can't say I like his style because he doesn't have much of a style, but I just like the way the confidence in him. Yeah, he doesn't have a style. He's beat people with better style, in my opinion, better style than him. But he's got that confidence, he's got that heart, and he's not gonna take an L. And I like that from him. I like Shakur Stevenson, and I like how he manages the distance.
Mhm.
I like how Devin Haney doesn't get hit. You know, I like Josh Taylor at 140. I don't know, man. I feel like Josh Taylor can box. He's got that dog in him. I want to go watch him live for the Ramirez fight, and I was cheering Ramirez on, but during that fight, I saw how Josh Taylor's mentality was just different. His game was just way better. And 147, I like obviously Crawford and Errol Spence. I like both of them. I like Crawford. His style was. I first saw Crawford when he fought Gamboa, and I liked it since. When I joined camp with them, I started, seeing the little things he does, and I like his style. But I've always followed Errol Spence as well, and so I like both of them. And if they fight, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna pick that night because I can't pick one. I can't pick one, man. And yeah, the list goes on and on. I like Usyk. I like Tyson Fury, Canelo, and yeah, man. I'm a big boxing fan.
Last two questions I got for you, Jesus, man. The Mexican community can be tough when it comes to boxing. Um, how how have you handled that? Because there's a lot of pressure that comes with that as well.
You know, I I was doing real good. I was doing real good with that with the Mexican community. A lot of people, they like me, and me being from Mexico, we go a lot out there, and a lot of people, they recognize me, and they're really cool with me and all of that. They treat me like if I were a champion, and it's crazy. So yeah, I feel like I'm doing really really good. The commentators from Mexico, they've always treated me good. They think I'm the next Mexican star, and they're always telling me things like that. But Julio Cesar Chavez, man, he commentated one of my fights, and he was a Javier Molina fight, and yeah, I guess he said some things, that I was like looking for a knockout, being a little desperate, things like that. But it's all good. We take it and we learn from it. And that's why in this fight I didn't want to pressure like the same way in the Javier Molina fight. But yeah, I feel like they're accepting me. It's tough. It's a tough crowd to please, but I feel like so far so good.
Yeah, man, it's tough when the legends say stuff, because you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt because it's a different time in boxing,
Yeah, of course.
and it's just different. But the fact that he is mentioning you and sees that, like, even though he's tough, the respect is still there. I feel like anyway.
Yeah.
Last question, man. I believe that there's a message inside all of us, right? And as I said at the beginning, hope needs to be seen and shown. Every morning we wake up and something may be different, maybe thinking about something else or something is on our heart, and we're just like, man, I feel that. What is a message inside of your heart, man, that you would like to share with the audience today? Because they always hear from me, right? But a message that you have inside of your heart, because you represent a lot, man, and how you've been able to navigate through it says a lot about the character of who Jesus Ramos is, because you're the real deal, man. And I don't just mean that by the boxing sense. Yeah, we know you got skills, we know you got talents, but what you just explained to me, from the 5-year discipline to where you are now, to living your dream, to building a gym when you were just working out in the garage, that's a full package, and that's a level of hope. What is a message that you'd like to share with the audience today, man?
I tell them, follow your dreams, man. Follow your dreams. And it's so basic. It's so basic, and people always say, but it's the truth, man. And whatever you put in your mind, whatever you set your mind to do, it happens. All this that I'm living right now, I went to bed at when I was 8, 9, dreaming of all of this, dreaming of being on a pay-per-view card, dreaming of fighting on television, being professional. I dreamed of all of that, and now I'm living it. And it's not because of it was given to me. This goes way back. This goes way back when I used to, like I said, go to sleep and dream about all of this, think about all of this, and picture myself doing all of this. So it's like everything. If you want to build a house, you got to sit down and think about it, think of a plan, then it comes. You build a house. It's the same thing with your dreams. You sit down, think about it, dream about it first. I'm gonna do this, do that, and it's gonna happen, man. You attract everything. You attract everything you want, and it's a funny way of working, but you really do. You really do attract everything. It's law of attraction, and I'm a firm believer of that. And I think if a lot of people really attract what they want, it happens, man. So attract it and work on it, and it'll come.
Very well said, man. And the support that you have outside of the ring and inside the ring, man, I'm sure it stretches further than you know. And even though you started years, like a decade ago, you still got so much more to go, man. So I appreciate your time, Jesus, man. What is the best way for people to keep in touch with you? Obviously, they're going to look out for your next fight, but from a social media standpoint, what is the best way for them to support the journey?
Instagram. I'm on Jesus Ramos Jr. _ on Instagram. Twitter, Facebook, Jesus Ramos Jr. I even got my own YouTube channel, Jesus Mono Ramos. I haven't been posted any vlogs lately, but I usually post vlogs of my training camps and all of that stuff. So go follow that too, man.
Looking forward to seeing you in the ring next, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new renovations in the gym and everything, man. But again, appreciate your time, bro. Have a great rest of your day, man. And we'll be in touch, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your time as well. Appreciate you.
Before you go, do me a huge favor. Head to Apple Podcasts, Chartable.com, Spotify, wherever it is that you can leave podcast ratings, review, and leave a rating and review of the show. This small act goes a long way in moving the podcast forward and helping the growth of the podcast. It takes 3 minutes, maybe even 2 minutes max. If you could just do me that favor, it would truly, truly mean a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. For those that have, thank you. I really appreciate that as well, too. So, without all that being said, we'll see you next week.